In the folds of Umbria's hills, where olive groves whispered under the Italian sun, and medieval stone walls cradled the town of Assisi, a child named Giovanni was born in the year 1181. His father, Pietro di Bernardone, was a prosperous cloth merchant whose travels to France have inspired the boy's eventual nickname, Francesco, or Francis, evoking the elegance of that distant land. The family home nestled among narrow cobblestone streets that wound like quiet streams through the town, overflowed with the comforts of wealth. Fine fabrics draped over wooden beams, the scent of spices from far-off markets lingering in the air, and the soft glow of oil lamps illuminating evenings filled with laughter and song. Young Francis grew amidst this abundance, his days unfolding like the petals of a wildflower in spring, carefree and vibrant. He wandered the marketplaces, where vendors called out in melodic voices, offering silks and linens that shimmered like morning dew on leaves. His spirit was drawn to the camaraderie of youth, joining friends in merry gatherings under starlit skies, where tales of chivalry and adventure were shared over simple feasts. Dreams of knighthood stirred within him, inspired by the troubadour songs that floated through the air like gentle breezes, painting visions of armored heroes on quests for glory. The rolling landscapes around Assisi, with their verdant valleys and distant mountains veiled in mist, became his playground, where he roamed freely, his heart unburdened by the deeper questions of existence. Yet beneath this surface of joy, the seeds of something profound lay dormant, waiting for the quiet turn of seasons to awaken them. Francis's education, though informal, immersed him in the rhythms of trade and the arts, learning to appreciate the beauty in crafted goods and the harmony of poetry. The church bells of San Rufino Cathedral tolled softly in the background of his life, a subtle reminder of the spiritual world that coexisted with his worldly pursuits. Family life revolved around the bustling household, where his mother, Pica, a woman of gentle piety from Provence, offered a nurturing presence, her stories of faith blending seamlessly with the everyday. As Francis matured into a young man, his charisma drew others to him, making him a natural leader among his peers, organizing festivities that lit up the night with torchlight and music. The air in Assisi carried the fragrance of blooming jasmine in summer and the crispness of autumn leaves, mirroring the changing hues of his youthful exuberance. He spent coins freely, embracing the luxuries his father's success afforded, from fine attire that rustled softly as he walked, to feasts where wine flowed like the nearby rivers. In these years, the world seemed an endless tapestry of pleasure, woven with threads of friendship and aspiration. The distant rumble of regional conflicts occasionally echoed through the valleys, but for Francis, they were mere backdrops to his dreams of valor. Little did he know that these serene beginnings would soon give way to trials that would reshape his path, like a river carving through stone over time. The town of Assisi itself, perched on the slopes of Mount Subasio, offered panoramic views that inspired a sense of wonder, its ancient Roman ruins blending with Christian chapels in a timeless harmony. Francis's interactions with the poor, though fleeting, planted subtle impressions. Beggars at the city gates, their quiet pleas mingling with the sounds of daily life. Yet his focus remained on the allure of knighthood, practicing with swords in open fields where wild birds sang overhead. The changing seasons marked his growth, springs of renewal, summers of vitality, autumns of harvest, and winters of quiet reflection by hearth fires. In this idyllic setting, Francis's character formed, a blend of generosity and impulsiveness, his laughter echoing through the stone arches of the town square. As the years passed gently, like clouds drifting across a vast sky, he approached the threshold of manhood, unaware of the profound shifts awaiting him. The soft light of dawn over the Umbrian plains symbolized the innocence of his early days, a period of untroubled exploration that would forever anchor his story in the beauty of simplicity. As the winds of conflict stirred across the Italian landscape, Francis found himself drawn into the fray between his beloved Assisi and the neighboring Perugia, a rivalry that simmered like embers in a fading fire. In 1202, at the age of 21, he donned the armor of a knight, the metal cool against his skin under the pale autumn sun, riding out with fellow townsmen along dusty paths lined with cypress trees. The battle at Collestrada unfolded in a haze of chaos, the clash of steel and cries of men blending into a distant murmur in the annals of memory. Captured by Perusian forces, Francis endured a year of imprisonment in damp, shadowed cells beneath the city, where the drip of water on stone marked the slow passage of days. Chains bound his wrists, yet his spirit remained resilient, finding solace in quiet songs shared with fellow captives, their voices echoing softly against the cold walls. The air grew heavy with the scent of mold and despair, but moments of camaraderie offered faint warmth, like sunlight filtering through narrow slits. Released through his father's ransom, Francis returned to Assisi under skies heavy with winter clouds. His body weakened, but his resolve to pursue glory undimmed at first. However, a lingering illness soon enveloped him, a fever that confined him to his bed in the family home, where linen sheets absorbed his restless nights. The room, lit by flickering candles, became a sanctuary of introspection, the outside world reduced to the soft patter of rain on tiled roofs. As his strength ebbed, visions danced at the edges of his consciousness, gentle whispers of a deeper purpose amid the haze of recovery. The hills beyond his window, cloaked in mist, seemed to call him towards something beyond earthly honors. Months stretched like elongated shadows, allowing time for contemplation amid the quiet routines of healing. Herbal infusions steaming in clay cups, the distant toll of bells from the Basilica of San Francesco, still unborn in his era. His family tended to him with care, their footsteps soft on wooden floors, as he pondered the fragility of life. This period marked a subtle shift, like the gradual turning of leaves in fall, where the allure of knighthood began to fade, replaced by an inner questioning. Attempts to join another crusade in 1205 faltered. En route to Apulia, a dreamlike voice in the night urged him to return, the stars above bearing witness to this pivotal moment. Back in Assisi, the familiar streets felt altered, the marketplace bustle now a backdrop to his evolving soul. The illness lingered, sapping his vitality, yet it nurtured a budding awareness of divine presence, subtle as the first light of dawn. Friends noticed his changed demeanor, his once vibrant laughter now tempered with thoughtfulness, as he wandered solitary paths through vineyards heavy with grapes. The natural world around him, birds flitting among branches, streams murmuring over pebbles, began to speak in ways he hadn't noticed before. Recovery came slowly, like the thawing of spring after a long winter, allowing him to regain physical strength while his spirit deepened. The experience of war's brutality and illness's isolation wove together, forming a tapestry of transformation that would guide his future steps. In the quiet evenings, as twilight painted the sky in soft purples, Francis reflected on the vanity of worldly pursuits, his heart opening to a gentler calling. The Umbrian countryside, with its rolling meadows and ancient oaks, provided a serene canvas for this inner journey, where each sunrise brought renewed clarity. This chapter of trials, though shadowed, illuminated the path ahead, much like how storms clear the air for brighter days. Around 1205, as Francis roamed the countryside on horseback, the ruins of San Damiano Chapel appeared before him, its crumbling walls embraced by ivy under a serene blue sky. Kneeling in prayer amid the dust and faded frescoes, a voice seemed to emanate from the crucifix, soft and insistent, urging him to repair the house of God, which lay in disarray. The words lingered like an echo in a vast valley, stirring his soul toward action without haste or alarm. Returning to Assisi, he sold some of his father's cloth at the Foligno market, the coins clinking gently in his pouch as he offered them to the chapel's priest for restoration. When refused, he cast them aside in the grass, a quiet gesture of detachment from material bonds. This act marked the beginning of his gradual shedding of worldly ties, like leaves falling softly from a tree in autumn. His father, angered by the loss, confronted him, but Francis responded with calm resolve, his path now illuminated by an inner light. Seeking solitude, he retreated to caves in the hills, where the cool earth and whispering winds became companions in his quest for clarity. Visions continued to visit him, gentle revelations that drew him closer to a life of simplicity. One day, encountering a leper on a lonely road where wildflowers nodded in the breeze, Francis dismounted and embraced the afflicted man, the act transforming revulsion into compassion, as if a veil had lifted from his eyes. The leper's bell tinkled faintly in the distance as Francis rode away, his heart forever changed. Back in the town, he began nursing the sick at a leprosarium, his hands gently tending wounds under the soft light filtering through thatched roofs. The scent of herbs and ointments filled the air, mingling with the quiet sounds of suffering eased by care. These experiences deepened his commitment, each day unfolding like a page in an ancient book, revealing truths about humility and service. The gospel readings in the churches of Assisi resonated anew, their words flowing like a tranquil stream through his thoughts. In 1208, during Mass at the Portioncula Chapel, nestled in a wooded glade, the passage about apostles going forth without possessions struck him profoundly, inspiring him to adopt a tunic of rough wool, cinched with a cord, barefoot on the earth. The chapel's bells pealed softly, harmonizing with birdsong, as he embraced this new way. His conversion was not a sudden storm, but a gentle rain nourishing the soil of his spirit over time. Friends and family observed this shift, some with concern, others with quiet admiration, as Francis moved through the streets with a peaceful demeanor. The natural beauty of Umbria, sunsets gilding the hills, rivers reflecting the sky, mirrored his inner peace. He repaired chapels stone by stone, his labors unhurried, the clink of tools blending with the rustle of leaves. This period wove spirituality into the fabric of his daily existence, like threads in a loom, creating a harmonious pattern. Encounters with nature, such as preaching to birds in meadows where wild grasses swayed, foreshadowed his later affinity for creation. The call to conversion, subtle and persistent, guided him toward a life of evangelical poverty, where possessions were released like girds from a cage, allowing freedom to soar. In quiet moments by streams, he contemplated the divine, his prayers rising like mist in the morning air. This transformative phase, serene and profound, set the foundation for what would become a movement of renewal, touching lives far beyond the hills of Assisi. In 1206, before the Bishop of Assisi in the town square, where ancient stones bore witness under a clear spring sky, Francis publicly renounced his inheritance. Stripping off his fine clothes, he handed them to his father, standing in a simple tunic as a soft wind stirred the gathered crowd. The bishop draped his cloak around the young man, a gesture of protection amid the murmurs, marking Francis's full embrace of poverty. Now free from familial ties, he wandered as a beggar, his footsteps light on paths lined with blooming poppies and lavender. The air carried the scent of fresh earth after rain, as he sought alms door to door, his voice gentle in requests met with varying kindness. Humble beginnings unfolded in the restoration of chapels, beginning with San Damiano, where he gathered stones from fields, stacking them methodically under the sun's warm gaze. The work progressed slowly, like the growth of vines on trellises, each stone a step toward renewal. Birds nested in the eaves, their songs accompanying his labors, blending with the distant hum of bees. He lived in simplicity, sleeping on the ground in hermitages carved into hillsides, where stars blanketed the night sky like a vast, quiet tapestry. Meals were sparse, bread and water shared with wayfarers, the flavors enhanced by gratitude. In these years, Francis's presence drew others, his serenity like a calm lake reflecting the heavens. He repaired the Portioncula, a tiny chapel in the valley, its walls rising anew amid wildflowers and ancient oaks. The sound of hammer on wood echoed softly, harmonizing with the trickle of nearby streams. This site became a haven where he pondered scriptures in the twilight, the pages illuminated by fading light. His days flowed in rhythmic prayer and work, sunrise greeting him with golden hues over the plains. Encounters with the poor deepened his compassion. He shared what little he had, his acts unassuming, like dew nourishing the grass. The Umbrian landscape, with its gentle undulations and mist-shrouded mornings, mirrored his inner tranquility. As word spread, a few companions joined him, drawn by the quiet power of his example. They lived communally, begging for sustenance, their laughter soft in evening gatherings around modest fires. Flames danced lazily, casting shadows on faces etched with contentment. Francis composed simple praises, his words weaving with the night breeze. This era of humble origins fostered a spirit of joy in austerity, where material lack revealed spiritual abundance. Travels took him to nearby villages, where he offered help in fields, his hands calloused yet tender. The cycle of seasons, harvest moons, winter frosts, spring blossoms framed his journey, each phase a lesson in divine providence. In solitude, he communed with nature, finding sermons in the flight of swallows or the bloom of roses. His renunciation was not rejection, but liberation, allowing him to walk unencumbered like a pilgrim on an endless road. The bishop's support provided a shield, enabling this new life to flourish quietly. As the chapel stood restored, symbols of inner rebuilding, Francis's path inspired subtle changes in those around him. The air in Assisi shifted, carrying hints of transformation, as his humble beginnings planted seeds that would grow into a vast garden of faith. By 1209, as the first followers gathered around Francis in the shaded groves near the Portioncula, their simple tunics mirroring his own, a community began to form, like roots spreading beneath fertile soil. Bernard of Quintavalle, a wealthy merchant touched by Francis's example, sold his possessions and joined, followed by others seeking the serenity of this path. They lived in huts of branches and mud, the rustle of leaves their constant companion, sharing meals of herbs and bread under open skies. Francis drafted a rule of life, drawing from gospel passages, emphasizing poverty, chastity, and obedience, presented humbly to Pope Innocent III in Rome. The journey southward wound through verdant valleys and along ancient roads where pilgrims' footsteps had worn paths over centuries. In the Eternal City, amid marble columns and echoing basilicas, the Pope, moved by Francis's sincerity during a dream-filled night, granted verbal approval for the Order of Friars Minor. Returning to Assisi, the brothers expanded, their numbers growing like wildflowers in a meadow after rain. Missions sent them preaching in villages, their words gentle invitations to peace, resonating in town squares where fountains murmured softly. In 1212, Clare of Assisi, inspired by Francis's sermons in the cathedral's soft light, sought his guidance, leading to the founding of the Order of Poor Ladies at San Damiano. She and her sisters embraced enclosure, their days woven with prayer and manual work, the convent's walls enclosing a world of quiet devotion. Francis provided a rule for them, adapted to their life, fostering a bond of spiritual kinship. The Third Order emerged for lay people, allowing families to live the ideals in daily routines. Merchants, farmers, and artisans incorporating simplicity amid their labors. Gatherings occurred in homes lit by candlelight, where discussions flowed like calm rivers. The Franciscan way spread across Italy, brothers traveling barefoot, their staffs tapping rhythmically on stone paths. They aided the needy, tending fields or building shelters, their presence a soothing balm in troubled times. Francis emphasized harmony with creation, teaching respect for all beings, as seen in his interactions with animals in sun-dappled forests. The order's structure evolved gently, with chapters held annually at the Portioncula, where decisions were made in consensus, voices blending in harmonious dialogue. As the movement grew, provinces formed, extending to France and Spain, carried by friars on ships across serene seas. Back in Umbria, the community thrived, their chapel bells tolling peacefully at dawn. Francis's leadership was unassuming, guiding through example rather than decree. His humility a steady anchor. The ethos of joy in poverty infused their lives, turning hardships into graces, like sunlight piercing clouds. This founding period, marked by organic growth, laid enduring foundations, influencing countless souls in a ripple of tranquility. Francis's ministry unfolded across lands, his journeys meandering like gentle streams through Europe's varied terrains. Preaching in town squares, his messages of peace resonated softly, drawing listeners under canopies of ancient trees or beside flowing rivers. In 1219, amid the Fifth Crusade, he sailed to Egypt, the sea's rhythmic waves carrying him toward the Sultan Al-Kamil. Crossing lines in Damietta, where sands shifted underfoot, he shared his faith in calm conversation, the tense fabric billowing in desert breezes, fostering mutual respect without conquest. Returning, tales of this encounter spread like whispers on the wind. At home, miracles attributed to him emerged quietly. Healings in villages where the sick lay on straw mats, their ailments easing after his gentle touch, the air filled with the scent of healing herbs. He tamed a wolf in Gubbio, the beast approaching peacefully in a forested glen, its eyes reflecting a newfound calm, allowing harmony between townsfolk and nature. Preaching to birds in fields near Bavagna, they gathered silently, wings folding as if in reverence, the scene a tapestry of unity with creation. Travels took him to remote hermitages, where solitude nurtured his spirit amid craggy mountains veiled in fog. The order's growth brought challenges, met with serene adaptations, like revising the rule in 1221 for stability. In 1224, on Mount Laverna's rocky heights, surrounded by fir trees swaying in alpine air, Francis retreated for Lent, his prayers deepening in the cool caves. There, in a vision of serene intensity, he received the stigmata, the wounds of Christ appearing on his hands, feet, and side, marked by quiet pain yet profound peace. Blood seeped gently, concealed under bandages, a private union with suffering. Descending the mountain, the marks remained a hidden grace, influencing his final years with humble endurance. Miracles continued, such as calming storms at sea or multiplying food for friars in sparse winters, each event unfolding naturally, like dawn breaking over hills. His ministry emphasized care for lepers, establishing houses where they found solace, the buildings simple structures amid olive groves. Encounters with nobility and peasants alike bridged divides, his presence a bridge of quiet understanding. The Canticle of Brother Sun, composed later, echoed his ministry's theme of praise for all elements, sun, moon, wind, and water, woven into daily reflections. As health waned, he continued guiding the order from beds of straw, his voice steady in counsel. This era of ministry and wonders, serene in its depth, illuminated paths for many, like stars guiding through night. In the waning light of his life, Francis's health declined gently, like autumn leaves drifting to the ground, his body marked by the stigmata's quiet ache and failing sight. By 1225, confined to simple dwellings in Assisi, he composed the Canticle of the Sun, praises flowing from his lips for brother sun's golden warmth, sister moon's silver glow, and the elements that cradled existence. Dictated to companions in a hut near San Damiano, the words emerged amid birdsong and the soft rustle of wind through branches, a hymn of gratitude that harmonized with nature's symphony. Blindness enveloped him, yet his spirit remained luminous, finding joy in the textures of the world, the coolness of water, the earth's firmness underfoot. Friars tended him with care, their footsteps light in the dim rooms, where herbal scents mingled with incense from nearby chapels. He journeyed one last time to the Portuancula, carried on a litter through familiar paths lined with wild herbs, the air crisp with approaching winter. There, in October 1226, surrounded by brothers singing psalms in hushed tones, he welcomed Sister Death, his passing serene as a candle flame extinguishing in still air. Laid on the bare ground as he requested, his final moments echoed his life's humility. The night sky above, a vast canopy of peace. Canonized swiftly in 1228 by Pope Gregory IX, his tomb in the basilica built in his honor became a place of quiet pilgrimage, its frescoes depicting his story in soft colors. The legacy of Francis endures, a gentle thread woven through time, inspiring harmony with creation and simplicity in an often hurried world. His example whispers of finding divinity in the ordinary, the flight of a sparrow, the bloom of a flower, the kindness shared between strangers. Communities worldwide carry his spirit, from friars in distant lands to lay people embracing poverty of heart amid daily routines. The Umbrian hills, unchanged in their tranquil beauty, seem to hold his memory, sunrises painting the landscape in hues he praised. Reflections on his life invite contemplation of how humility bridges divides. His encounters with sultans and wolves alike fostering understanding. In modern times, his patronage of ecology resonates, urging care for the earth as a shared home. The Franciscan orders continue, their works a steady flow of service in hospitals, schools, and missions, embodying his serene approach. Stories of his life, passed through generations, offer solace, like a familiar tale told by fireside. His influence touches art, literature, and spirituality, from paintings capturing his serenity to writings exploring his joy. As seasons cycle endlessly, Francis's essence remains, a calm invitation to live with open hands and grateful hearts, echoing through the ages in whispers of peace.